Hello, Burst users. My name is Sharon Kim, and I am with the Center for Early Reading at Amplify. This video provides you with insight on how to prep to deliver Burst instruction. This module is going to assume that you have watched the Burst Overview module. If you haven't watched this already, take some time to view this prior to viewing this video. Also, make sure your handout is handy. We'll reference it as we go along. As a saying goes, prior planning prevents poor performance. In this webinar, we're going to learn how to prepare for Burst lessons. Specifically, you'll learn to access Burst lessons, understand the structure of a 10-day burst in a lesson, use the structure of a lesson to prepare, and finally, identify, locate, and prepare materials. The first thing we'll review is how to access your Burst lessons. To do this, please follow along with this video and the directions on your screen.
Let me show you how to access your Burst lessons. Log into mclasshome.com and once on the home page, find the Burst tile. Click on it, then click on Get Lessons. Once here, make sure that you are on the right semester. You will see your groups in the drop-down menu. Let's first start with Group 1. I'm going to save my lesson. And I will do the same for the supplemental resources that I will need for the lesson. Here we see that my lesson that I just clicked Save As has downloaded. So if I click on it, it will open into a new tab. And I can do the same with my supplemental resources here, which will open in a new tab as well. So here is my 10-day plan. I can go ahead and do the same for each of my groups. So click on Group 2 in the drop-down menu. And follow the same steps as you did before. Save your lesson and save your supplemental resources. And again, they will appear here.
Some people like to print their bursts. Others save them electronically on their laptop or iPad. This doesn't include handouts, so any of these are fine options. Pick one and see if it works. Some activities may require you to print materials for students, for example, an activity sheet. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let's take a look at what's inside a burst. A burst has a set of lessons that are data analysis algorithm compiled for a specific set of students at a specific point in time. Because every small group is likely to have different needs at any one point in time, it's rare that two bursts are identical. A typical burst can be about 50 pages long. In your handouts, I've excerpted pages from a group's burst. The first page is a 10-day roadmap. Every burst has a 10-day roadmap. The roadmap is a great way to get an overview of a burst. Let's take a deeper look at the 10-day roadmap in this particular burst. You'll see that for the next 10 days, the students in this group will focus on two strands: phonological awareness and letter sound knowledge. And during the 10 days, there are 9 daily lessons and 1 day set aside to progress monitor. All bursts are packaged in this way. Each daily lesson has 5 activities, and each activity is labeled A, B, C, D, and E. On day 1, the lesson introduces the concept of phoneme segmentation. As students progress through each day, they move along the phonological awareness continuum and will get activities that get progressively more difficult. For example, for phonemic awareness, students start with phoneme segmentation and identification, but by day 6, they go on to phoneme substitution. Then on days 8 and 9, They start first, last, and middle sound segmentation accuracy. As you can attest to, most humans don't learn something in just one sitting. They need repeated exposure and practice over time. That's why you'll also see that content is introduced and then reintroduced again to build student skills and automaticity over time and time again. Let's turn our attention closer to day 9. In your handouts, you will see the day 9 lesson. There is a page for each activity, 9A, B, C, D, and E. Let's take a closer look at the day 9 lesson. In the chat box, tell me how many minutes does it take to teach section A, B, C, D, and E? And also, how many minutes does it take to teach the entire lesson? Let's come back together. Let's now look deeper at day 9, activity B. We are going to study this activity more deeply because it'll help you understand how activities and lessons are constructed. You can find day 9, activity B in your handout. Take 3 minutes to closely read the activity before we ask the following questions. Let's come back together. I'm now going to read each question individually and give you some time to respond. Go ahead and enter your responses in the chat box. What is the goal of this activity? Second, what is the purpose of the model section versus the practice section? Are there any parts to this lesson that an interventionist might find tricky? What purpose do support and challenge serve? What materials are required for this activity? Thanks so much for studying this activity in detail. We are going to have a chance to see it delivered in the Teaching with Burst module. Before we walk through how preparation looks with Burst, let's reflect on last school year, perhaps when you were using another intervention program. How did you prepare to deliver intervention lessons last school year? Let's watch our interventionist, Florence, prep for a lesson. Before I hit play, find the last page in your handout which lists the recommended steps to take in order to prepare for a lesson. Watch Florence and follow along with your handout.
Hi guys, my name is Florence and I'm going to take you through the prepping steps for each of your burst lessons. So the first thing we're going to do is look at page 2 of our burst, which has the set of materials that we need. Now today I'm prepping for day 9. So here are the specific materials that I will need for day 9. So I see that I need picture cards for activities A, B, and E. I need a board to write on and letter cards as well. So let's start with, in order, with activity A. So let me look at my burst kit and locate where the picture cards are. Now in the front you'll see that it has an icon showing which cards are in which drawer. So picture cards are in this drawer. I always find it easier to just pull the entire drawer out. And there's a special trick for picture cards that you need to learn because it'll make your life much easier. So I'm going to take a Post-it here, and the first card in your set of picture cards will show you the name of the picture card as well as a number. And these picture cards are actually numbered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just write down the number of the picture cards and then I'll pull them much faster. So for activity A, I need ant. So ant is number 2. I need bag, 5. Cow is 12. Horse is 34. Jump is 42. Right, so that's for activity A, and since this is already out, I'm going to do the same for activity B. All right, that's it. So let me now pull the cards out of the stack of cards, and I also usually find it easier to put the cards back later when I mark the card behind. So for picture cards, I'm going to put a Post-it. Here's my stack of materials for activity A. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in my accordion folder under activity A. Here, I'm going to do the same thing for activity B and pull my cards. What's 87? Van. Oh, okay. So I already had pulled out the picture of the van for activity A. So let me go ahead and find that picture in here. So here's van. And what I'm going to do is, in order to remember to keep this card for activity B, I'm just going to put a little Post-it in the back and write B on there. And that way I'll remember that I'm using it for 2 different activities.
Let's continue to watch our interventionist, Florence, prep for a lesson. In this portion, she is going to focus on an unfamiliar activity.
And now that I'm done pulling the materials, I am going to take a closer look at what the day entails, what the activities are. So I'm familiar with activity A, I've taught it before. I'm familiar with C, I've introduced and reintroduced sounds, and I've also done letter sound accuracy activities. I am unfamiliar with day 9 activity B, which is middle sound segmentation accuracy. So I'm going to take a closer look at that lesson to see what exactly it is. So let me go to day 9B. So here's 9B. And we want students to identify the middle sound in words. So I have my materials that I've already pulled. Now let me actually, I'm actually going to act out this lesson and practice it on my own since this is the first time that I've seen it. So I need my basket, and here are my cards. Place the empty basket in the center of the circle. Place all of the picture cards in front of the student. Okay, so let me place those in front. All right. And I will say, let's pretend we're sound detectives. We need to find pictures to fill up our basket. I'm going to say a sound and I want you to find which picture has that sound in the middle. My turn first. The sound is like in the word lab. And I'm going to be a detective and search for the picture that has the ah, the sound ah in the middle. I found the picture of cat. Okay, so here's cat. Cat has the sound ah in the middle. Cat was a great sound detective. I can place the picture. Okay, okay, okay. I think I'm prepared for this activity, so I'm going to take the cards back and put them back in my little accordion folder. Alright, so I have everything I need for day 9 right here.
We saw Florence prepare by gathering cards from her kit and printing supplemental resources. Some lessons might require passages and other materials. You can find those in the Resources section by clicking Materials for Lessons. That will take you to a page where materials are organized by skill. You can find the materials by clicking on the skill of the activity and navigating to the resource. To wrap up, here are several key takeaways to note as you prepare for your upcoming burst lessons. First, print your lessons or use a laptop, whichever is best for you overall. Skim your lesson before you deliver it. As you skim, visualize yourself doing the activities in the lesson and look for things you might find to be tricky to deliver. Once you get used to burst, daily prep should take no more than 10 minutes per group. As we wrap up, please help us get better by clicking this link in chat and provide us with your feedback. Thank you for participating and good luck.